today's video we are going to be doing a Premier League game week review, match week 28. We're going to be reviewing today. We're going to be talking about all of the games of the match week, but in particular we're really going to be focusing on Liverpool Man City because it was a massive game. So I'm going to spend quite a bit of time talking about that. And then I'm going to sort of briefly touch on the other games as well and main talking points across the weekend. Because this for me was actually one of the most pivotal game weeks, both at the top and at the bottom of the table. And I think it's confirmed a couple things for me personally, but we will get into all of that. Of course, let me know your thoughts on any of the games this week. I'm filming it before the Chelsea-Newcastle game as well, so we'll see what happens in that. Probably a Chelsea loss, as always. But anyway, let's talk about the big one. Liverpool 1, Manchester City 1. Alexis McAllister penalty and John Stones goal. This was probably the biggest and most important game of the season so far. A title deciding game really, or not title deciding, but title, I guess, influential title game, because the result here, if someone did lose it, I mean, it would have been a big dent in their title hopes, but it wouldn't have been completely done. And both teams come away with a point, so I mean that's kind of the best result if you're a neutral looking at the title race, which we'll come on to. But overall, in terms of the game, I actually think Man City will probably be the happier of the two teams in terms of coming away with a point. I thought Man City in the first half were really good. Start of the game really confident, very nice little set piece routine to catch Liverpool out with John Stones, and they looked really solid in that first half. And they were playing very well. But in the second half, it all just collapsed really, and they got pummeled in that second half. In my opinion, Liverpool stuck it on them, came out pressing quite high. Man City were giving the ball away very cheaply, and that is of course what led to the goal. Nathan Ake gives the ball away, penalty, and goal. And then throughout that second half, if Liverpool in particular, one man who we'll get onto, had their shooting boots on, I think Man City lose the game. And Man City really didn't create too many chances in that second half. I mean, they created a couple, but yeah, I thought Liverpool were much better in the second half out of the two teams. And we'll talk about the individual performance from a Man City one. So in terms of the goal, Nathan Ake, I mean, all game he had a bit of a disaster in my opinion. It was not good, but he had so many bad mistakes for this goal. First, he obviously gives away the pen by stitching up Ederson, but it's completely Ake's fault. Anyone blaming Ederson is stupid there. Ake has completely undersold the pass. Ederson has no option there to come out and try and get it. He misses and catches Núñez. So that's bad enough, he's given away a pen, Ake, but then he's also injured Ederson, who had to come off after that collision, which could potentially, depending on how serious the injury is, could even have an impact on the title race if Ederson is out for a prolonged period. Although Stefan Ortega is a perfectly good keeper, one of the better backup keepers in the league, so that's not too big a deal. I thought the backline, to be fair, in general was pretty good for City, besides Ake and also Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker going forward, oh my, this guy was awful. He's completely lost it going forward. I remember the days with Kyle Walker going forward, especially at Spurs. That guy was bombing forward, he was so good. Yeah, he ain't got it anymore. He was getting in so many advanced positions, and then his crosses were just awful, decision making poor. And yeah, he was really poor. One of the worst games I've seen of Kyle Walker this season. Other performances from players: Kevin De Bruyne did not have a good game really. was hooked at the 69th minute and had a bit of an argument with Pep. Now Pep actually said something quite interesting. I thought, he took off De Bruyne because one, he didn't have an amazing game, but two, he kind of just wanted like a bit of energy. De Bruyne was maybe a bit tired. But I think the dispute was De Bruyne didn't want to come off because De Bruyne had a lot of energy in the tank, and Pep said after the game that he took him off because he wanted more control on the ball to help Foden find those spaces, and he brought on Kovacic for that, which I thought was interesting that he brought De Bruyne off for tactical reasons. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, when De Bruyne came off and Kovacic came on, City were actually a lot better in my opinion. They created quite a few chances after that moment. So yeah, not a good day at the office for De Bruyne. He was not very happy. Bernardo Silva, not the best performance. Erling Haaland, so I don't want to say he was pocketed by Van Dijk, but he didn't really do anything of note in the game. I'm not going to say he's pocketed because Haaland's a striker who feeds off service, right? He feeds off service, and he didn't really get any clear-cut chances given to him, so I can't really blame him for that. He did have a pretty cool moment where he was one-on-one versus Virgil van Dijk. Haaland actually did pretty well, to be honest, considering Haaland, that's not really his game, like dribbling like that with the ball. He actually did pretty well to get a shot off, but that was quite cool to see them go one-on-one against each other. But yeah, Haaland didn't really have much service, didn't have the best of games. Alvarez, see, I really don't like Alvarez on the wing. Alvarez on the wing just doesn't work for me. He was poor in this game. I just think you can blame striker. I don't mind him in like a number 10 second striker role, but I think Alvarez on the wing is just not it. It's not it. Foden had some good moments, but couldn't really do too much. I was quite shocked to see Ruben Diaz dropped for this game. Although Akanji did well with Stones as well. And yeah, that's really it for City. I just think good first half, the second half really poor. They were kind of lucky not to lose that in the second half. Pep will be a bit disappointed at that second half performance, but at the end of the day for City, going to Anfield and grabbing a point, that's pretty good. For City it was really a must not lose, kind of the same thing for Liverpool, but more for Man City. When you're going away to Anfield, just nick a point, you'll be happy. They did that, so not the worst thing in the world. As for Liverpool, well, I mentioned it, I mean, it was a bit of a wasted opportunity. First half they were not good, but second half they were fantastic. Had so many good opportunities, and one man in particular, Luis Diaz, man. This guy, honestly, I was thinking to myself, if Luis Diaz could have like the end product of a Salah, or even the end product of someone like Foden, for example, Diaz would be world class, because this guy has it all. And you saw it in this game. You saw the good side and the bad side of him, because he was really good on the ball, dribbling, so electric, getting in those good areas. Everything was great until he got in that final third, and he had about 2 one-on-ones and so many good opportunities which he just squandered so poorly. And you have to be putting those away, Diaz. You have to be putting those away in a big game like this. Those are title deciding moments. If you're going to win the title, you need to be putting those away, especially the one where Mo Salah came on and had a really good impact off the bench. He played an insane pass, so good, to Luis Diaz, one-on-one, and completely puts it wide. You gotta get it at least on target. So yeah, Diaz really poor in front of goal. There were some other chances as well. For example, Bradley had a really good chance on the edge of a box, but it was perfectly set up for a nice first time strike. I've seen Trent in that position, first time strike at the back post, buries it all the time. I think that kind of showed the difference in terms of where Liverpool were missing their key players in those big games. If Trent's there, that's a goal. But Bradley, he's not really used to that position like that. Takes a touch and then gets intercepted. But overall, Liverpool, great reaction from them. From going down 1-0 in that second half, much better. Fantastic penalty as well by Alexis McAllister. I think they will be a bit disappointed if he didn't get the win. Oh yeah, I almost forgot the Doku incident on McAllister, the penalty, which is a big talking point in the 90th minute. Was it a penalty or not? Personally, I think it's like, I don't know, it's really tough. I'm like 50-50 on that one, because he's got the ball, Doku has got the ball, but that foot is quite high, and you know, I think there's a bit of follow through on McAllister, but it's not too much in it. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's a bit dodgy. I saw it again, I was like, I don't know, and now I'm really 50-50 on it. I can understand why that's given, and I can understand why VAR didn't intervene on that one, but yeah, Liverpool fans are probably annoyed about that, but I don't think they should be. It's not like an absolute howler, that decision. It's one of those where if a ref gives it, I think VAR won't say anything, but the ref didn't give it, so I don't think VAR said anything. So yeah, that's my thoughts over on the game. And in terms of what that means on the title race, well, I mean, it doesn't change too much. The real winners of this game is Arsenal, who go top of the league because of that draw with a 2-1 win over Brentford. I'll talk a little bit about this game. This was huge. I think that's now 8 wins in a row for Arsenal, who are just flying, and they showed their different side of them in this game. Recently they've been winning like 4, 5, 6-0s in their games, but this one they had to grind out. And Kai Havertz scores again. Kai Havertz, clutch goal. I have to give it to him. He's had his haters, but it's another clutch goal by him. He has really been heating up recently for Arsenal, and that's 4 in his last 4 games now. And that's a big goal and a huge goal, especially when you consider City and Liverpool drew. That puts them top of the league. A massive one for them. Now the question is, should he have been on the pitch? Absolutely not. He should have got a second yellow for diving. That is pretty clear, but it's one of those. Unfortunately, the ref didn't see it. Assistant ref probably should see that. I don't really blame the ref there for not seeing it. It's quite hard to tell with dives like that. But either way, he should have been sent off. So Liverpool and City fans are probably a bit annoyed, as are Brentford. But Arsenal don't care, and to be fair, Arsenal were by far the better team in this game. They were dominating Brentford. They were ripping them up on that right hand side. Some really good performances by Ben White. He got 2 assists. Saka, again incredible. Odegaard, again incredible. Jorginho, I thought, was really good. I mean, Ramsdale, an absolute howler with Brentford's goal. Absolute howler. I do feel bad for the guy, because this is like the only game he gets to play and he's messed it up. He's definitely leaving in the summer. Although he did make a fantastic save against Tony, which would have been like a mental goal. But Arsenal win, and they are now top of the league. We'll look at the table at the end of the video. I'll talk a little bit about the title race. But what a win for them. Right, let's just briefly now touch on the other games on the weekend. So this was another massive game here. Villa versus Spurs. Villa 0, Spurs 4. Got some Maddison, Johnson, Son and Werner. Now this was really the top 4 clash, the top 4 battle. If Villa had won this, I probably would have said that top 4 is kind of over and Villa would have secured it, really, because they had built up a pretty decent gap ahead of Spurs. Spurs needed a win and they got it in emphatic fashion. While a second half scoring 4 goals. Villa just completely collapsed here, especially for the second goal. I'm not sure, but somebody gave the ball away very cheaply and they were punished. There was a red card as well. John McGinn, absolute horror tackle, absolutely clattered a doggy. And Spurs get a massive 4-0 victory, and that's a bit of a psychological blow as well for Villa in this race. You're not at home to get battered like that. Not sure what that's going to do to their mentality, but we'll see how they react from that. What a win for Spurs. Massive for them, and the top 4 race is well and truly open now. Brighton 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Andrew Omar-Badeli with the goal. Brighton, after getting thumped in Europe by Roma, bounced back with a victory over Forest, that's another loss for them. It's not looking good. Under Nuno, they've not been fantastic. Recently, the form has been really poor, although I think they've been quite unlucky. I think in the games they've been pretty decent, to be honest. Like, they were not awful in this game. And actually, yet again, refereeing decisions kind of robbed them, because Brighton had one of the most clear red cards I think I've ever seen. Yakamoto absolutely wiped out a player. I can't remember what player it was in the 67th minute. And he literally came flying 2 feet off the ground and catches a player, and he was given a yellow and not a red. Absolutely insane. Forest annoyed. That's back-to-back times now. Refereeing decisions have cost them really, but yeah, not good for Forest. Good for Brighton though. West Ham 2, Burnley 2. Now this was a big game at the bottom of the table in terms of the implications, which I am going to get on to in a minute. But all I do want to mention is, firstly, David Fofana. What a goal by him. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Fantastic. Danny Ings, quite funny. This guy almost scored a hat-trick in the 90th minute, which is mental. He had a goal scored in the 90th minute, which was disallowed, and then, well, it was like just before, it was like 87th, and then scores in the 91st, and then hits the crossbar just after him, like the 95th, which is mental. But I mean, West Ham did good to fight back to get a point here, although dropping points at home to Burnley, that's not ideal. Although it did play midweek, so I can kind of understand it for them. At least they got a point. Burnley, we will get onto them. Later, I promise. Right, Man United 2, Everton 0. Now this was honestly the most typical game I've ever seen. So Man United, I've seen this script so many times for both teams. Man United play rubbish, get some lucky goal or dodgy decision, that goes their way, and they get the win despite being battered in the game. And Everton absolutely batter the opposition, play so well, but are awful in front of goal. 23 shots and can't convert, and then get punished. And that's exactly what happened. I could have told you that from the start. I knew exactly how this was going to go. 2 penalties for United. Everton so wasteful, so wasteful. Not the best performance by Man United, but they got the win in the end. Although I will give a special shout out to Alejandro Garnacho, who I thought was absolutely sensational, as he has been in the last month or so. He has really been really good for United. But yeah, Everton, I mean, that's a typical Everton loss. Bournemouth 2, Sheffield United 2. Again, I will talk about Sheffield United in a little while with Burnley, but Bournemouth, I mean, similar thing to West Ham. If you would have told them you're going to draw at home to Sheffield before the game, they would have been quite annoyed. But in the manner they did it, it's pretty good. They'll definitely take that. Enes Unal with another goal. I think that's like doing his last 3 games or something. I will say, if you haven't seen it, Dominic Solanke's penalty, he missed a penalty is absolutely abysmal. It was so bad. He completely slipped and skied. It was very funny to watch, to be honest. But yeah, Sheffield United, we will get on the Crystal Palace, Luton. Crystal Palace 1, Luton 1. Luton with a 96th minute equaliser from Corley Woodrow. Oliver Glasner denied a win, although I felt they did play pretty well, and I think Palace have shown that they're gonna be fine under Oliver Glasner, as long as they put away their chances, they see out the games, because that seems a little bit of a trend now. It happened at Spurs, late goals here. I think they'll be fine because they played some pretty decent football already under Glasner. Mateta's goal, by the way, was really nice, little cute flick. That was good. Luton, fantastic, absolutely fantastic from them, and again, I will talk about them in a second when we look at the tables. And finally, Wolves 2, Fulham 1. Wolves with a fantastic win there at home, and Wolves, Europe, the push for Europe is on well and firmly for Wolves. They are definitely outside contenders to get European football. They can easily get Conference League, maybe even Europa League, because that's a big win, and we'll look at the tables now next, but I'll show you they're not too far away from it now. The only problem is it's going to be quite hard, because in this game, unfortunately, Bellegarde got injured, but mainly Pedro Neto got injured yet again. His hamstring went, which is really concerning. They're already missing the likes of Matheus Cunha and I think Wang Yi-chan, because look, you see Nathan Fraser, youngsters had to lead the line. So yeah, injuries is really the only thing that I can see holding Wolves back from a European push. But this was very good to get a win considering those circumstances. Not the best for Fulham, although they have been in some good form recently, so they won't be too concerned. Right, now we'll have a look at the tables, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the different races going on and what these results mean. So, with the title race, Arsenal, as you can see, are now top of the league with 64 points. Liverpool are also on 64, but have a 7-goal difference worse than them, and Man City are just a point behind on 63. So, I think I'll probably do a video on this anyway. There are only 10 games to go now, so this is honestly shaping up to be the best title race ever, because we got 3 teams still in it with 10 games to go. This is really exciting, but that draw now means Arsenal, technically it's in Arsenal's hands. If Arsenal win all of their games for the rest of the season, they will win the league, right? But I don't know, can they do that? It's going to be tough. Next is another huge one, Man City, Arsenal. That is going to be massive, absolutely massive. But this result just puts Man City only a point behind, which is fine for them. But this is going to be really good. Is Arsenal are currently in pole position. I think Arsenal also on form, but the best team out of these guys. They're playing the best football right now, but we'll see how they do in their next game versus City. That's a big one. Liverpool as well, I was said, going to be disappointed if he didn't get that victory, because if Diaz could score, if they could put away those chances, if they got that victory, well, that would have put them 3 points ahead of, or 4 points actually, 4 points ahead of Man City, and that is huge for them. But they couldn't get the job done. But as I said, I think we'll do a video very soon about this, so stay tuned on that. The Villa Spurs result widens up that top 4 race. Just 2 points now separate Villa and Spurs, so the race for top 4 is heating up. There could potentially be 5th that gets it as well, but you want to secure 4th, right, just in case that doesn't happen. United's wing, still puts them in contention, but they are still a little bit away here, 6 points away from Spurs, who have a game in hand. And then the race for Europe is very interesting, though. say, well, I was going to say you would probably say that United have got European football pretty much wrapped up, but even then, Wolves, Brighton, West Ham are all fairly close to them now, so it's between these guys and also Newcastle, not Chelsea. We're done. But yeah, these guys are all battling it out for European football, which is really, really good, and that's going to be a really, really fun battle. Wolves, as I said, that big win has really entered them in that race, and also Brighton, that was a huge win for them. But looking at the bottom of the table, this is what I really wanted to talk about. For me, this weekend confirmed that Burnley and Sheffield United are relegated. For me, I believe Burnley and Sheffield are relegated now after this weekend, and it's twofold. One because of the manner of their results. Both teams were 2-0 up in their games away from home. Big games. 2-0 up. They were 2-1 up in the 90th minute, and both teams conceded 90th minute goals. In fact, both teams almost lost it at the end as well. So, the manner of those drop points just show me, like, yeah, these guys, they're done. They are done. And also, the second factor is Luton. You see, here's the difference. This is where you can see that one team has a bit of mentality, has a bit of character, has a bit of fight, and the others don't. Burnley and Sheffield conceded 96th, 90th minute winners or equalisers against them. Luton scored a 96th minute equaliser to earn a point versus Palace. That's the difference between Burnley and Sheffield and these guys. Luton are still fighting. Burnley and Sheffield, for me, after this weekend, proved to me that they're done. They are done. If they had won that, they would have had a chance, but you now even look at that, they're 10 points away from Forest in 17th. I'm not even sure if Burnley or Sheffield, with 10 games to go, will get 10 points in general. Out of that, I'll be optimistic for those guys to get 10 points from the next 10 games. So, I believe this weekend has relegated them to, in my opinion, Luton are battling it out, though that is a huge point because that now puts them within contention, just 3 points away from Forest, Forest and Everton are in real danger here, especially if they get a points deduction. That is potentially the only thing that can save Burnley and Sheffield here. These two get another points deduction, but these two are in really, really bad form right now. 3 losses in a row for them, no winning 5 for them. Also Brentford as well, really, really poor form from them. So for me, it's between Brentford, Everton, Forest and Luton. I think Palace are pretty much done now. These 4 teams for 1 spot, their relegation spots, and I think these 2 are done now. But yeah, those were my thoughts on the weekend's fixtures. Let me know your thoughts down below on any of the games, and if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, consider subscribing. I'll see